Well, hey there, guys. Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to the channel for this John Campea live stream open mic. The mic is open. It is here for you. And guess on this show, all we do is take your thoughts, opinions, questions, and topics. Now, there's two different ways that you guys can get a topic or a question addressed here on the show. The first way is if you're not watching live, anytime 24/7, if you want to get a question or a topic on this show, go ahead and use our tip link. That's simply at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip and send it on in there. Now, the second way you can get a topic or question on the show is by watching live and using the super chat feature right here in YouTube. And if your topic or question is appropriate to be used on our show, then you will see it addressed here. And I got Ray with me in here today. We got Jonathan in here today. Hello. And most importantly, we got you guys here. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And before we get into the questions and topics, thought I'd touch on this a little bit. This morning, we addressed this morning. Marvel Namor actor Tenoch Huerta has been accused, pardon me, of sexual assault by not a nobody, a well-known Mexican musician. Her name's Maria Rios. I forget her last name, but at any rate, Ray, maybe you can look it up for me. I forgot her name, but she's a well-known musician in Mexico, and she was in the news a couple of years ago. She actually kind of made the news around the world because I guess her ex-boyfriend was a bit of a jerk who hired two guys to throw acid in her face.
It's Maria Elena Rios.
Maria Elena Rios, thank you. Yeah. To throw acid in her face, which put her in the hospital for a very long period of time. And she's become a very prominent activist in Mexico. And she's the one who's accused him publicly of sexual assault. Now, this, of course, as a movie channel, we focus a little bit on the movie business aspect of any story. So, of course, this puts Disney in a very difficult position. They're currently dealing right now with one of their actors being actually criminally charged in court. They have a court proceeding going on. They've been officially charged with Jonathan Majors, and we'll see how that turns out. And now he's been dismissed. But we talked about that point this morning. I wanted to touch on something else a little bit here, like a really disturbing, disgusting trend I see, which is when somebody like this gets accused, an automatic assumption. First of all, let me say this. We should not make any assumptions at all. We should not rush to assume that the person is guilty, unless there's some kind of video footage out there. But we should never just rush to assume that somebody's guilty, nor should we rush to assume that a woman is lying. Neither are right. The reaction of a rational, sane person is, gosh, I hope it's not true. I hate to think that somebody being that evil and that vile and that disgusting and doing something like that to somebody, I hope it's not true. We'll wait till we find out the tracks. You see, a rational, intelligent person will say, I don't know all the facts. I'm just reading a headline, and therefore I'm not going to rush to assume that they did it, and I'm not going to rush to assume that they didn't do it. Let's keep our eyes on it, and I really hope it's not true. That is the response of a sane, rational, non-disgusting piece of shit person. But we see a lot of people taking one side or the other on this matter. And the part that I'm focusing on right now is, I'm shocked how many people have written into me today. They say, oh, he's innocent. He didn't do nothing. She's lying. She's just trying to get in the headlines. She's just trying to get money. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, based on what? Now, again, we should absolutely 100% not assume that the dude is guilty. I'm hoping that he's not. I'm hoping that this isn't true. I'm hoping it's some kind of weird misunderstanding or I don't know how that's possible, but I just hope it's not true. But to rush to any kind of assumption is based on what? Like, the one that makes me laugh is, well, she's just trying to get money from the guy. Well, how do you know that? And by the way, I'm just saying, I am not assuming that the guy is guilty at all. But I'm just saying, if your excuse was right, that, oh, she's just trying to get money. Well, wouldn't she have made these accusations when Black Panther Wakanda Forever was coming out? Like, if you're trying to get money, isn't that the time to make accusations? Oh, she's just trying to get famous. Guess what? She's been in the news. Mexico knows who this girl is. She doesn't need fame. And then, of course, the common one I get a lot of is, well, then why didn't she report it to police when it happened? Well, because in our world, and especially in Mexico, she's already lived through the case that, hey, if you piss off a guy you've been involved with, he could get other people to throw acid in your face and put you in the hospital. And by the way, according to a report I've been reading, they figured there's been 90 cases in the last couple of years of dudes in Mexico throwing acid in women's faces. How is that a thing? Now, look, I want to be very, very clear here. We are not, nor should we, any of us, assume that Tenoch Huerta is guilty. Not at all. 100% not. But I would also encourage us to say we should also 100% not be assuming that the woman is some kind of liar. We all know too many women in our lives who have actually been assaulted by men. We know this. This isn't some fairy tale. This is a real thing. So let's allow the process to happen. As of right now, it should be pointed out that Tenoch Huerta has not been charged with anything. Let's be clear about that. Actually, I suggested on the show today that it almost would have been better if he had been legally charged, because then he can go to court and if he didn't do anything, be found innocent and puts it all to rest. But I mean, it's a sucky situation. It's just, I can't believe how short-sighted so many people are to say, well, I don't know fucking anything, but I know he did it. Well, I don't know any of these people, but I know he didn't do it. Shut up. You know nothing. I know nothing. Let's just call it what it is and say, this is a sucky situation, and I hope it isn't the worst thing. And maybe just go that way. I know Ray has been feverishly working on 2 graphics, one for Tenoch if he's found innocent of this, and one if he's found guilty. You want to share it with the people, Ray? No? Don't want to share that image with the people?
No. My God, man.
Anyway, but that's just that. That's just kind of
you'll
my
get
take.
that in Patreon. My new Patreon.
Yes,
that
on
I'm
Ray's
gonna have to
Patreon. He'll
open.
show you if you join the $10,000 a month level on Ray's Patreon, he will share with you the images that he's been working on. That all said, guys, let's get over and start taking your thoughts, theories, opinions, and questions here, shall we? So, Jonathan, let's start off with the tip questions that people sent in. What do we have? That's probably not the right screen.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not doing that.
Oh, not coming up? You had one job. No.
I don't know. For whatever reason, it switched out the input on it, but we got it now.
All right, perfect.
All right. Spewbaka Gurr writes, if a film flops theatrically, but succeeds on streaming, example, Encanto, Lightyear, Strange, how does streaming offset theatrical losses? Because we have films as expensive that go directly to streaming. We don't consider that money wasted. Is there a metric, and how?
It doesn't. To answer your question, streaming doesn't make up for it. I mean, it can mitigate it a little bit. Here's a great example. There was a recent movie, I can't remember if it was Mario or something, and they considered it like one of the big, huge streaming successes. Like one, like an unusual amount of success. It made like $100 million. But that's 1/13 of what the movie made in theaters. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but I mean, it's literally 1/13 of what the movie made in theaters. Most movies will make 20 or hopefully $30 million. Generally speaking, not enough to take a movie that lost money into a movie that made money. Unless the movie was like really razor thin close to breaking even, then maybe the home stuff can put it over. Streaming, though, on things like Netflix doesn't really. There's not a lot of money to be had by the distributors on streaming services like that. They get paid a certain licensing fee, and there you have it. So, yeah, the thing is, you got to make your money in theaters. These movies are expensive. You got to make your money there. Again, there's a rare case where it can be a difference maker, but even in the case of like a Mario Brothers, once again, that was like crushed several sort of records for Universal. It was like 1/13 of what the movie made in actual theaters. And that's probably a pretty good representation of that. Anyway, good question, man. All right, what's next?
All right, the Super Ranger writes, hey, John, I've always wondered, does the box office records for highest box office account for inflation or price increases in tickets? If inflation is relatively always going up, then won't there always be new records over time? Thanks.
Okay, so this is a question that gets asked about 7 times a week. And I'm not exaggerating. I think probably at least 7 times a week, a question similar to this. So let me address it here. And we answer it all the time, but since so many people ask it, clearly a lot of people wonder this. Inflation should never be taken into consideration when figuring out, when evaluating box office records and all that kind of stuff. Because while inflation is a variable, There's no denying it. Inflation is a variable. To which you may understandably ask, well, John, if inflation is a variable, why not take it into consideration? The reason you don't take it into consideration is because there's about 30 other variables. And if you're going to take one into consideration, you got to take all of them into consideration. For example, another variable is streaming. You know, the home entertainment that people have today is not the same home entertainment that people had 25 years ago. Yeah, you can say the dollar value of a ticket is different than it was 25 years ago. Yes, but what movies have to compete against is so much crazy higher today than what movies had to compete against 25 years ago. It's just a joke. Do we take that into consideration? Besides streaming, what about video games? With Xbox, PlayStation, the Switch, now we've got various platforms, whether it's Steam or others, you can play games online. Everybody walks around with an arcade in their pocket now with with mobile games and stuff like that take up billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars every year that people are spending their entertainment discretionary money on instead of spending them on monies. That wasn't around 25 years ago. Do we take that into consideration? Okay, yeah, the ticket value from 25 years ago to today is different. But guess what? That movie 25 years ago with the lower ticket price, it didn't have another industry soaking up about $12 billion a year of entertainment discretionary money that people are spending on instead of spending on the movies. Do you take that into consideration? 25 years ago, movies didn't open nearly as much as they open today. More movies are released today than at any other time in history, which represents not only more competition from home viewing, it represents bigger competition in theaters today than at any other time in history. Do we take that into consideration? And it goes on and on and on and on. So the answer is, should we, when considering box office numbers, take inflation into consideration? The answer is no, because if you do, then to be fair, you have to take those other things, which I would argue a couple of them are even bigger factors than inflation are. So you can't pick and choose which factors you want to equate. You either take them all, or you take none of them. That's why I consider that, yeah, ticket prices were cheaper then, but movies back then had it a bit easier because they didn't have video games to compete against. They didn't have host streaming to compete against. They didn't have cable packages that included 400 channels to compete against. They didn't have mobile entertainment devices in people's pockets to compete against. They didn't have the number of movies in theaters to compete against, on and on and on and on and on. So you either take them all or you take none of them. The cleanest way, and it's not perfect, but the cleanest way is just don't count any of the variables and just go with the straight flat dollar values. Because one could also argue that it was a lot easier 25 years ago to buy a movie ticket for $6 than it is today to buy a movie ticket for 15. A lot more people today will go, I'm not buying. I know people today who don't go to the movies because they think it's too expensive. I didn't know people 25 years ago who didn't go to the movies because it was too expensive. So there's a lot of factors and variables. You can't get to pick and choose which ones you count and which ones you don't. All right. What's next?
All right. Dwarf UK writes, hey, John, is Amy and Pedro Pascal related? P.S. The best animated movie ever is Pixar's Up. You've only got to see the opening scene when they first meet. I read in all caps.
I'll tell you what, I'm not going to argue against that. I mean, I think the greatest animated film of all time is Lion King. The first animated Lion King, not the recent one. But I mean, how can you... I mean, Up is one of only 3 animated films in history to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Other than that, no. You might be surprised to find out that, and believe me, I was shocked when I found this out too, that not everybody with the last name Pascal are related.
Oh, man.
I just thought they were.
News to him.
I thought anybody with the last name, I don't know, or anybody with the name Giuseppe, they're just must be Italian, they must be related. Anybody with the last name Gomez must be related. No, they are, to the best of my knowledge, they are not related. Now watch. Somebody's actually going to write to me afterwards saying, actually, John, in the biography, it says they're related. Now, that just looks stupid. But as far as I know, they are not related. All right, what's next?
Devin writes, hey, John, I recently read that Oppenheimer is officially rated R. With the film being rated R and over 3 hours long, do you think that'll give it a negative impact on its first and/or second opening weekend and its overall global earnings?
Being a 3-hour-long movie, yeah, there's going to be some impact there. I mean, there's fewer screenings that you can have. Some people might be turned away a little bit by the length. A little bit of an impact there. The R rating, I don't think so. And we've talked about this before because let's be honest. Look at the Oppenheimer trailer. Ain't nobody bringing their family to go see that. I mean, I really don't think there were a lot of 12-year-old kids going, let's pool our, what's the name of the word? Yeah, allowance. Let's pool our allowance money and go see Oppenheimer this weekend. I don't think there was a lot of those going on. So I think Oppenheimer getting an R, I honestly don't think that's going to impact it as much as, say, the 3-hour. But even then, I don't think it's going to be too terribly much, but maybe a little bit. All right, what's next?
Sage writes, do you plan on seeing Oppenheimer in 70 millimeter? I know there are a few showings happening for it, and I was wondering if it's worth it. Is there a difference between IMAX and 70 millimeter? Thanks.
I think 70 millimeter is the IMAX format.
Yeah, but usually if they say that, they're talking about film.
Yeah, and there are very limited number of IMAX. I think there's 3 or 4 in LA of true IMAX theater. There's a lot of IMAX theaters, but true, the film IMAX projector sort of thing. I think there's like 4 of them. No, I'm not going to see it that way. Ann and I actually just got our tickets, and there was an IMAX screening of it, and this is where the 3-hour thing comes in. We both thought where there was that, and there was an AMC Dolby Prime with the leather recliner seats. And we were like, for a 3-hour movie. And listen, my one knock on IMAX is that their seats, it depends from theater to theater, but a lot of the IMAX theaters I've been in, they don't have the most comfortable seats. They're okay. They're okay, but they're not. And Ann and I just looked at each other and said, you know what? If we're going to be sitting on our asses for 3 hours, we want to be comfortable. And we chose the AMC Dolby Prime over the IMAX for that. I normally would choose AMC Dolby Prime anyway, but for Oppenheimer by Christopher Nolan, I had considered IMAX, but just the 3-hour runtime, I choose the more comfortable seat. So that was our figuring there. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Anonymous who writes, whenever I look behind Ray sitting at his desk, why are you looking behind Ray? Because of the way the John Campea sign is positioned in front of the Captain America poster, it looks like John's wearing some sort of Marvel-themed Carmen Miranda hat. Anyway, who designed the John Campea Show logo?
All right, let me see that. Pull up the shot. Maybe a little hanging off the side. Actually, I just moved the sign a little bit, so maybe that's why.
Yeah. I noticed that. So
yeah, like the shield. It looked like a big banana hat.
Yeah, the shield would have been over his head.
The person who designed the John Campea Show logo is Ray Ora.
Yeah.
Ray came up with the logo years ago.
It was crazy because we had gone to the stream studio.
Yeah.
And we wanted like a
refresh of the IP. We wanted to rebrand.
Yeah, and like I had maybe like a day and a half, but it was a new technique that I learned online and then I figured, and then John liked it.
Yeah,
and it's been our logo ever
going
since.
To take up that sign was so fun. Me and Ray.
Picking up that sign.
So fun.
Yeah, see, that isn't some cardboard thing. That is thick, heavy, solid wood.
Yeah, man.
That sign. That's a serious piece of lumber back there. Same as in my pants. What?
I knew.
I would have disappointed you if I didn't say it. Come on. Everybody was thinking it. All right, what's next?
It's like a time for a Manscaped ad, but not this week.
Well, you know what, though? It is time for us to take an ad break, though.
That's true.
Okay. So you know what, guys? We are going to take just a moment here and thank one of the sponsors. You know, screw it. We're going to thank 2 of the sponsors of today's episodes here. Our friends at MasterClass and ExpressVPN. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, MasterClass. With MasterClass, you can learn from the world's best minds anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. You can learn filmmaking from James Cameron himself, you know, the guy who made 3 of the 4 biggest films of all time. Improve your writing by taking screenwriting from one of the greatest who's ever done it, Aaron Sorkin. Or maybe learn how to make great comedic content by taking comedy by the one and the only Judd Apatow. And many of you guys know I'm a big poker guy, and I recently got a chance to sit sit down and watch Daniel Negreanu, one of the greatest poker players in the world, teach poker. It was absolutely fantastic. But guys, whatever you're interested in, there is a class for you with over 180 exclusive classes taught by the instructors you know and love. And you can explore lessons in any order you'd like across your phone, tablet, Apple TV, computer, and on the go with audio mode. Individual lessons range from about 10 to 15 minutes in length that fit easily into your everyday life. Guys, I highly recommend you check it out. Get unlimited access to every class, and as a John Campea Show listener, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/Campea now. That's masterclass.com/Campea for 15% off Masterclass. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, ExpressVPN. Guys, it is 2023, and online privacy and security has never been more important. You see, every device, phones, computers, tablets, has a unique IP address, which is like an internet phone number and reveals personal information about you. It's super simple for somebody online who knows what they're doing to find your IP address if you've ever clicked on a sketchy link or opened an email from somebody you don't know. Your IP address could become exposed. Now that's where ExpressVPN has your back. ExpressVPN is an app that hides your real IP address and replaces it with a dummy one, keeping you safe and private. And you don't have to be some kind of techie to use a VPN. Guys, it is so easy to use. Just download the ExpressVPN app on your phone or computer, tap one button to turn it on, and you're protected. And if you like your streaming entertainment, here's the coolest part. They let you choose what country you want your IP address to look like it's coming from. This is incredibly useful because services like Netflix and Disney Plus give you different shows depending on what country you're in. So secure your family's online activity and unlock tons of new shows by visiting expressvpn.com/Campea. Use my link and you can get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/Campea. Go to expressvpn.com/Campea to learn more. And thank you to our friends at MasterClass and ExpressVPN for sponsoring this episode. All right, guys, with that down, let's get back to the questions here. What do we got next?
Okay, Audie Ash writes, curious, what's the average length for a movie to complete its cycle after release? Theater, VOD streaming. Asking because I'm curious why the next Spider-Verse movie is not coming out sooner. I figured they'd want the recent edition to finish its cycle.
They got to finish the movie.
Yeah.
They're making 2 movies and they got to finish the movie. And I think 1 year part's great. I think 2 years is fine. Like Fast X Part 2 is coming out in 2 years. I think that's fine. I think once you start getting to 3 and 4 and 5 years, that's a little too much. But 1 year is a very, very short.
Considering it's 1 year.
Yeah, I can only think of one movie that had a sequel come out in a shorter length of time, and that was Matrix 3 after Matrix 2, because I think Matrix 3 came out like 6 months after Matrix 2, but they made those films at the same time and they were able to have it ready like 6 months later. But generally speaking, a 1 year is a pretty short amount of time by almost any standard. So yeah, it's pretty good. All right, what's next?
Erica Phoenix writes, what fast food joint restaurant do you guys think has the best French fries?
Not McDonald's, I'll tell you that.
I'm going to say McDonald's.
I would say McDonald's
Really?
off the top, but they have a terrible half-life. So as McDonald's fries cool, they become like awful.
Absolutely.
Just throw them away. But if you get them hot, they're great.
I like crispy fries.
Beyond that,
I like fries that have a little crunch to them.
I think Jack in the Box has some really good fries.
I like Rallies.
Even Burbank, what am I saying? Even Burger King has pretty good fries if you get them hot.
You never had Rallies?
I know.
Never even heard of Rallies.
I've heard of Rallies.
Okay.
There's not one around me.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right.
I just realized you've got the Pedro Pascal
Well, this is the updated.
Supentor down
He's
there.
just joining. He's just hanging out.
He's just saying Supentor, played by Pedro Pascal. All right,
Hanging
what's
out with
next?
everybody. All right, Friendly Tacos writes, John, would you be interested if Steven Spielberg directed a horror musical movie if done the right way? I think a serious horror with singing musical numbers movie, if the right script, story, directors, actors, would 100% work.
Okay, so leave this up for a second. Leave it up for a second. Let's be clear. Any concept you name right now, would you consider a movie about a dancing fish directed by Quentin Tarantino? Could that work Well, the answer is if it has the right script, story, director, and actors, it would 100% work. I mean, that's true. If you could make up any concept at all and say, if it has the right story, script, director, and actors, well, yeah, then anything can work. Again, I go back to Lego Movie. They made a movie about square plastic building blocks.
Well, would you be excited if Steven Spielberg announced, "I'm going to make a musical,
Probably.
but it's a horror," without any other details?
Would I be excited? No. But I would be interested because he's the greatest filmmaker of all time. And he just did his first musical. And he's done one of the greatest horror films of all time, if you consider Jaws a horror film, which I consider you should.
That's an interesting combo, though, right?
A musical horror?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you seen that before?
Other than like a musical episode of Buffy or something like that, I can't really think of it.
Okay.
I mean, unless you want to count the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
But
Yeah,
that's
someone
not.
mentioned
But that's
that
not
before.
serious horror.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's
So
meant to be funny.
I don't know that you can consider that. So that would be an interesting thing to try. All right. No, Sweeney Todd.
Oh,
Sweeney Todd. The Oracle in the live chat mentioned Sweeney Todd. That's also
Oracle.
Little Shop of Horrors. Not
Maybe.
really horror. I mean, you could do it as a horror, but it's not the way it is. It's not really horror. All right. What's next?
Okay, we've got Jaron Ames who writes, OMG, I literally cannot get over how good the Flamin' Hot movie is. I've watched it like 6 times since it came out on Friday. This is literally the origin biopic movie we didn't know we wanted or needed.
Okay, I'm watching this now.
I have had an unusual amount of people writing. Listen, I'm actually going to go out. I'm going to make a guess that I think the same person writing in different names is writing in, because we've gotten like a bunch of things about Flamin' Hot.
Oh, wow.
I have a feeling they're all coming from the same person, to be honest with you. But that being said, I have been interested in this movie since day one that they announced it. Absolutely. Ray has been obsessed with wanting to watch it. So I'm going to watch it at some point.
Food.
Where is it again?
It's Disney Plus.
It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
all right. And I think it's on Hulu as well.
No,
I
think it's just Disney Plus.
Really? I thought I heard they put it on both.
Oh,
Either
maybe.
way.
Yeah,
Either
either
way.
way.
I have both of them, so it doesn't matter. I want to watch it.
We have both of them. It doesn't
Sorry, let me rephrase. We have both of them.
Shared
Shared
universe.
Cinematic
All right. Yeah,
universe.
the viewers are confirming it's on both. So
Okay.
there you go. All right, what's next?
Which one
All
are you gonna
right.
watch?
Well, Zach Pasta Sauce Walters writes, how'd you get that name? John, what is your worst movie experience that isn't about the theater itself? Mine is when I saw Revenant and these 2 women were throwing fists at each other for some reason.
I would put that as one of my best.
Yeah. That happened to me actually at
Oh, you mean a
Bob's.
fight?
Yeah, that happened to me at Bob's Burger.
Movie?
Yeah.
People gonna fight.
I went, and these 2 guys started throwing fists.
What a movie, too.
Yeah.
Throw down
We
to.
weren't able to get our refunds. I ended up seeing it next day. Loved it.
My worst movie-going experience a little bit had to do with the movie, but it was to the truly, truly worst Jim Carrey movie I ever saw. I think it's called The Number 13. Or is it The Number 23?
Number 13.
Is it? Look it up.
Number 23.
It might be number 23. Anyway, it's a garbage movie. I shouldn't remember what the name of the movie is. But that wasn't what made it the worst movie-going experience.
Yes, number 23.
Me, my buddy, and the girl I was dating at the time, we went into the theater, and I'm sorry that this is, but it was the living stereotype. These 4 fucking teenage girls came in and sat behind us, which isn't a problem, but they would not shut the fuck up. And I'm not talking, they were whispering to each other and talking. That would be a little irritating, I guess. But if they at least were pretending to trying to be a little bit courteous and keeping their oh my gosh, somebody wouldn't do that. Oh my God. And you think I'm just doing a voice? That was their voice. And they weren't even in California. It was Southern Ontario.
Oh, wow.
And they're talking like, and it was like, and they would not shut up.
Good Canadian
And
kids.
my buddy literally turned around and said, "Shut the fuck up." And they wouldn't. And then they kept going. And then he turned around and just looked at them. And about 5 minutes later, they left. But I mean, it was, I talked on this show the other day about the fact that I never have bad experiences in theaters. It's like maybe one a year that somebody refuses to get off the phone or somebody just talks too much. Like maybe once a year I have that to the point that it's distracting. But that was like easily my worst most sucky movie going experience ever.
I
They
think
were
the
like-
closest thing. Oh,
They sound like they're the Torontons. They're like, just get on the 427 and
The
then get on the
they're
400
Torontonians.
to the 401 and you get off at downtown Toronto.
By the way, I'm very impressed that you know the highways.
Wow.
You must have just looked it up.
I am
You did-
looking it up.
Okay, I was going to say, there's no way you knew the
I've been-
highways around
I've been to
Toronto.
Toronto twice though, but yes.
Yeah, the 427 to the 401. Hop on that.
you know, before they had the reclining theaters that we have now, just the problem with like maybe a kid sitting behind me and their feet would just constantly
Yeah,
like, be
that's the
kicking.
same as with airplanes, right?
Yeah, so
All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Harrison Hito who writes, "What is each of your favorite Simpsons episode?"
oh
My eyes, the goggles do nothing. I love that one. When he's doing Radioactive Man.
I can only say the Bret Hart one
I don't even remember the Bret
or
Hart one.
Bret Hart special guest star. I don't know. There's also one with that character that was their version of Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I forgot what the character's name was.
There's also one of the earliest issues there. This is one of the hardest things I've ever laughed at in television was one of the early episodes of The Simpsons. I can't remember if it was like season 1, season 2, season 3. It's somewhere in there where Bart was going to try jumping over the canyon on his skateboard
Oh right, I remember.
and
that one.
Homer stops him. And then as they're pulling Homer, he goes down the canyon, falls down. And as the ambulance is pulling away, the ambulance runs into anything. The back door goes open. Homer's gurney comes out and he falls down again. I swear to God, that is one of the hardest laughs I've ever had in my life. But I think, the goggles do nothing. I think that was my favorite, one of my favorite ones ever. All right, what's next?
All right, Sally Unkler writes, "John, I wanted to tell you my top 5 favorite movies of all time because you're amazing."
Oh, thank you.
So now we're all going to listen to them. Number 1, Top Gun Maverick. 2, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Nice. 3, Revenant. 4, Jaws. 5, Pitch Perfect.
Really?
That's interesting. 6, Kung Fu Panda. 7, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. 8, Avengers Endgame. And 9, Boyhood.
That is a very eclectic.
Yeah, it's very
I
eclectic.
like that list just because it's so mixed up.
Number 1, Maverick, huh?
Yeah, I mean, hey, a lot of people love that movie. Got nominated for Best Picture at the
Good,
Academy
good,
Awards. Why not? But that's a really mixed list. I love, like, everybody's list is great. But I mean, quite often when you get people's lists, like, they're very similar kind of movies, right? That one is totally all over the place. I love that. It's very eclectic. All right, what's next?
All right. Haley Brownkin writes, "Hey, John, do you have any horror movie recommendations? Ray, any comedy recommendations? And Jonathan, any action recommendations?
Oh, wow.
Love you guys. And Ray, I think you're cute. We all think he's cute. No, I'm not the girl in the trench coat.
The girl who fights crime, solves crime. That's a story we won't revisit today. But, my horror recommendations, my 2 favorite horror movies of all time are American Werewolf in London and The Descent. But one that I love recommending to people, because most people have never seen it, and not a lot of people have heard of it, is called Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. It's one of my favorite horror movies because it's half the Office style mockumentary and then 1/3 straight up 80s style horror film. It's hilarious for the first 2 acts, and then the 3rd act, it shifts gears into becoming a serious 80s style slasher film. It's brilliant. It's entertaining. It's fun. Look it up. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Ray, you got a comment?
I'm sorry. I don't. All I can say is Joyride. It's got to be one of the best comedies.
Which
I've
is
seen
coming out
recent.
soon. Everybody see it. It's amazing.
Yeah, you better check that movie out. That one was a blast for real.
right.
Yeah.
I'm not
Jonathan?
huge on, like, not many people go to me for action, but I'll tell you, you can't lose with The Raid and The Raid 2. Check those out. And then
Yep.
if you just want to have some fun, 1978's Drunken Master. Check those out.
By the way, The Raid and The Raid 2, when I was first getting started with the movie blog, a friend of mine from Bible college was helping me out on the site. And his name was Todd Brown. Todd Brown went on to establish one of the best international film websites that at the time was called twitchfilm.net. This was before the video game streaming Twitch service was out. It was called twitchfilm.net, one of the best websites in the world for international film. Then he went on to become a programmer, I think, at the Austin Film Festival. And now he's a producer of both the Raid films. He's a producer on both the Raid films. He's one of the executives at XYZ Films today, which, they do a lot of different movies, obviously, but he's one of the producers of the Raid films.
I got one. Step Brothers.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's one of my
I like
favorites
that
of all
movie
time.
a lot.
It's
Yeah.
my favorite Will Ferrell.
All right. What's next? By the way, on Ontario Bible College and Theological Seminary, now known as Tyndale Seminary, representing the online movie world here
Oh yeah.
with Todd Brown. All right, what's next?
All right. We've got Flipper McGee who writes, if Marvel decide Ray. Flipper McGee.
Man, just keep them coming, baby.
Hey, we're just taking this seriously, not you. Flipper McGee, that's a real name. If Marvel decided they were going to do a Squirrel Girl project, would you rather have them do a movie or a show on Disney Plus?
I'd rather them burn the idea in the furnace and never visit it.
Don't spread that noise, man.
Nobody wants
Squirrel
Squirrel
Girl would be funny.
Series.
Nobody
I want
wants
a
it.
series.
I want to see it too. Two against one.
You don't really want
Two
to see
against
it.
one.
Well, thankfully Chris
If it's
is in
less
here
than 2
because
hours.
Chris would be 3 against 1. Nobody really wants to see Squirrel Girl.
Bro, I mean, to see. Did you like the rat girl in Suicide Squad?
Ratcatcher?
Yeah.
Yes.
Imagine that with the squirrels. That'd be awesome.
Those
Squirrels
characters are nothing
There's
alike.
nothing like that.
There is
Squirrel Girl
nothing
literally is
similar between
Squirrel Girl
Ratcatcher
is literally
2 and
part
Squirrel
squirrel.
Girl.
No, she controls all the squirrels in the world. That's not Squirrel Girl? I can't even say it no more. Forget it. I just lost all
Right, let's
credibility
go.
right
right.
now.
What's next?
That's my Squirrel Girl.
Mike Howard writes, what is each of you guys' favorite breakfast cereal to eat? For mine, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, everything.
Captain Crunch.
I love Captain Crunch. A lot of
Captain
people
Crunch.
don't because they say it scratches your mouth.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I suffered a lot of razor cuts in my mouth eating Captain Crunch, but I didn't
wow.
care. It was so delicious.
I kind of like Kix for some reason. It's boring, but I don't know.
That and Kellogg's Frosted Flakes.
Yeah,
They're
kind of boring
great.
here, huh?
But I like Frosted
Cinnamon
Flakes.
Toast
and-
Crunch is delicious too. I mean, I don't eat any of those for breakfast, but I will treat them like a dessert from time to time.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. What's next?
All right, so now we're switching over to supers.
I want more food questions, man.
Well, maybe we got some. Let's look. Sam Fisher. Aaron Sorkin just revealed in an interview that he's never seen a Star Wars movie. This injustice cannot stand.
Really?
Mm.
Listen, I don't think you're going to find a lot of people who disagree. He's a top 10 writer of all time.
You gonna punch him in the face now, John?
Well, or, kicking the balls. No. Oh my God. There's nothing I want more in the world right now than to do a live sit-down viewing reaction of watching Star Wars with Aaron Sorkin. Somebody get Aaron Sorkin on the line. I really want to do this now. I want to do a live stream of sitting with Aaron Sorkin as Aaron Sorkin watches the Star Wars movies for the first time.
I wonder if it's
And
just...
I mean the real Star
Right,
Wars
right.
movies, not all the other
Okay,
garbage. I
okay.
mean New Hope, Empire.
I wonder if there's a good reason. Maybe it just wasn't his genre at the time that they were out, and maybe
He's a
he just
busy
never,
man.
You know?
Busy man. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Justin D who writes, vid version on Spotify, great. Please don't be over. I don't think it's over.
Oh yeah, so what he's referring to is like the John Campea Show podcast. We are primarily now a podcast. Like we do individual news videos every day on the YouTube channel, and we do the live stream open mic. But the official John Campea Show is now officially the John Campea Show podcast. We do it as a podcast. However, for people who subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, there is a video version of it. And also for our beloved YouTube channel members, if you are a channel member of our YouTube channel, we also put up a video version for you guys. Actually, we put up 2. We put up a video version for all of our channel members. And then for our director and producer level channel members, we have an ad-free video version.
Also,
But 95% of the people consume the show now as a podcast.
also, I want to make note that we've been like maybe a weekend into doing this new video thing. They should be up faster and faster as time goes
As we
on.
go, yeah. All right, what's next?
Christopher Brickner writes, Pixar's Elemental Rotten Tomato score has improved a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think when the number first dropped, it was like 50-something.
Was it?
And
I
then
thought it was like
today
63%
or something like that. And today got up into the 70s. Like you don't normally see a jump that big.
Oh, it's up now. We reported it 76 when we did a video.
Well, that was
it now?
that 34
But
reviews.
now this is 78%. It's just
And how many reviews?
42. So
So another about,
no, 40. So 2 more reviews jacked it up to
well, no, I think it was at 34 reviews for. So 6 more reviews popped it up a few more percentage
78.
points.
From 76
Okay,
to
maybe
78.
you can get up into the 80s.
We're not seeing that with Rise
I
of
mean,
the
listen, we
Beast.
still got like 100 reviews to go, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, what's next?
Fangblaze71 writes, unfortunately, I walked out of Transformers. I enjoyed what I saw, but I got a massive headache, so I had to go home to sleep. First time walking out.
Well, I mean, that's
due to
okay.
being
But
sick.
that is not walking out of a movie. That is having to leave. There's a difference between walking out of a movie and having to leave. Like if you get, like your phone buzzes and you take a look, and there's a text message from the hospital saying, hey, your brother's in the hospital. That is not you walking out of a movie. That's you having to leave. Walking out of a movie is like, I can't take this shit no more. And you get up and leave. That's a different thing. So that's totally understandable, Fangblaze.
I'm interested to know if he's going to go back and actually try to watch it. Maybe I'm not going to get all personal with it. Maybe he was just not feeling well or something like that.
Yeah, you know what it was? He was probably on drugs. I think Fangblaze was on drugs. Yeah. Yeah. We'll
He's
get
up
right
to
up
no
in
good.
person.
100%, John?
You know-
Is that a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes?
You know what it was? He was getting Viagra.
Oh,
and he was
boy.
crushing it up, and then grabbing the old straw
This is not.
and just like
Went straight to his head.
went straight to his head.
My hands are clean. That's it. No. No.
And went
I'm not.
straight to his
no.
head.
No, Fangblaze. That's them too. That's them or not Americans. That's them whites making fun of you. I stand with Fangblaze.
Thank you, Fangblaze.
Thank
I hope
you.
you get to see it
I
again.
guess we won't see you anymore.
Well, you'd be surprised. He's got another super chat coming.
what's
Nerds and Normies writes, Red Isom, a new comic. Robert Meyer Burnett knows the creator.
Oh, well, you'd be hard pressed to find a comic that Robert doesn't know.
Yeah.
The creator for. Rob is very connected in the writers. I mean, he may not know a bunch of them by name that they would know him by first name if they ran into him, but he has met at very minimum a whole lot of them, and he personally knows a bunch of them too. So it's not surprising to hear that at all. All right. Listen, guys, we're going to take another break here before we finish off and get through the rest of the questions here. We're going to this time thank our main sponsor of our entire channel, actually, my mobile service provider, and they should be yours, our friends at Mint Mobile. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for being a sponsor of the John Campea channel. All right, guys, with that down, let's get back to your questions here, shall we? What do we got up next?
All right, back by popular demand, Fangblaze71.
Oh, thank you.
Snortmaster69.
Have you ever had a bad experience at a theater because of somebody who couldn't help themselves? Sat next to a really loud breather.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man, he's just trying to live, Fangblaze. Jeez.
He's trying to live. What was his option?
This guy was breathing, drinking water, hydrating, but it might be rude to ask him to breathe more quietly.
Yeah,
so I
man,
didn't.
he might die.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, that's not where I thought you were going with that.
No, what would you do? What would you do? Like,
Nothing.
what's the serious anscer to this?
Nothing.
You
Nothing,
just try
because
to just
I mean,
block
look,
it out, or do you go ask for a refund for another showing?
No, I'll tune it out. I'll tune it out. Look, I don't anything where, hey, if that person had the choice right now, would they be like this? If the answer to that question is no, then I don't hold that against people. I mean, it sucks. It's unfortunate. It's very rare, but I mean, it happens.
And I'm gonna be honest. Like, if I was like, let's say, breathing, whatever, like, and someone, I would feel really terrible. So maybe not say anything. because he's doing a normal action. He's not purposely. Maybe that's just the way he breathes.
And listen, look, if
sure where his hands are.
Now if somebody was like coughing a lot, then I'm like, well, maybe you shouldn't be in this
Yeah,
theater
maybe
in
you
the
shouldn't
first
be
place,
there.
right?
Yeah, 'cause I don't
But if
follow
you're
this part too.
if this is breathing, like that's not where I thought it was going. It's like somebody where they weren't doing it on purpose. I thought like what, somebody had gas and they were like farting a lot. Thankfully, I've never had that problem, but that I would get up and leave.
That's what the little side area is for, where the exit is.
that what
Yeah,
it is?
that
go in
little,
there
that
and
little
then you
landing
just-
pad there. That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
because it just stays in there.
It's the rip
it just
tunnel?
stays in there. Yeah, the rip tunnel.
Okay.
The rip tunnel.
AMC theaters.
They
now
have
present
especially
the rip
designed
tunnel.
ventilation in the rip tunnel for your rip needs. All right, what's next?
John Redcorn writes, between Black Adam failure, XFL losing $60 million, Young Rock gets canceled and coming back to FNF after saying, Fast and Furious, after saying he wouldn't, Dwayne has hit, well, if this is a pun, rock bottom. Oh yeah, I guess it is, LOL.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of big asterisks to put in there. Number one, the XFL knew they were going to lose money the first few seasons, right? You don't start up something like the XFL and make profit in the first few years. They know that. Also, Young Rock, that thing lasted 3 seasons longer than I thought it would. That thing got 3 seasons. Yeah, so nothing wrong with that whatsoever. As far as the Fast and the Furious thing goes, I mean, listen, so far, if he's not in the movie with Dwayne Johnson or with Vin Diesel, he's not going back on what he said. He's not going to do Fast and Furious. He's going to do a Hobbs movie, just like he did Hobbs and Shaw. The Black Adam thing, yeah, that's one. Listen, and in all honesty, we joke about, movies did it cross the Black Adam mark and all that kind. And we joke about it, and we should joke, but that was also a really big hit on the chin. That was Dwayne Johnson taking one on the chin for Black Adam because, I mean, he had been connected to this project for 15 years. But sometimes I'll joke about how long. So it's been 75 years, but it has been 15 years. And he put everything behind that movie. And it was just caught in the circumstances that the DC universe had been dying.
You know where it would have been great to release that movie? Like during that time where right after
7 years earlier?
No, right after he did the rundown, when he was still sporting like the hair, you know what I mean? And like maybe in the game plan era, that would have been great because he was hot at that.
But he wasn't
moment.
that. I would say like 6 years ago was when he was at his peak. Like a little bit after his first Jumanji movie came up, where he took that movie to almost making $1 billion. That was when he was at the height of his power. I think Black Adam could have been a movie that would have done better if it literally would have come out 5, 7, 9 years earlier, but it came out at really the wrong time. And in all seriousness, it is one that The Rock had. I think all the other ones are fine. Those other examples you brought up were fine, but the Black Adam thing was really a punch in the face.
But as far as media headlines go, it has been a bad year for The Rock. As far as headlines go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as reality goes, he's almost a billionaire. So joke's on us.
Yeah, he's producing his own
He's
movies.
fine. He's fine.
His kids and his kids' kids are all financially set for life.
Yeah.
He's still the biggest entertainment star in the world.
Every post on Instagram gets how much?
Yeah, he's the number one
he's good.
celebrity following on
He's
social
good,
media.
man.
If he announced that he was going to be at WrestleMania next year, tickets would quadruple in price. I mean,
good.
it's still good to be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but the Black Adam thing was a punch in the chin. All right, what's next?
Nerds and Normies says, like Eric July said, monetize your haters. Well, I'm going to charge all of you.
I don't know
if that's
who
fun,
Eric
though.
July is.
Yeah, me either. But monetize your haters. That's the message.
Yeah.
All right, it reminds me of a great quote by, why am I freezing? Howard Stern. Howard Stern, somebody asked him a question about, what do you think about all these people who watch you and hate you? He said, they make me money. So it's,
Can you
I always
get that-
remember that quote. That was always a great quote.
Can you get that high porn ready for me? Happy Independence Day, Philippines. Thank you.
Hype horn.
Yeah, high porn.
I thought you said high porn.
No.
Can you get that high porn ready for me? I'm like, what are we
all
doing?
right, I
What are
guess
you
I'll
going to?
Bring that up on Google.
Hype
I don't know.
Horn. Got it. Can you get that high porn ready for me?
Way to put a great moment in my...
Sorry. Happy Independence
Yes,
Day to the
thank you.
Philippines.
There you go.
Happy
Thank you.
Independence Day
Yeah,
to the
let's
Philippines.
go.
Everybody and their hype porn. Their
Happy
hype porn.
Independence Day.
Remy D writes, I'm a huge fan of Sebastian Maniscalco. Have you seen about My Father? If so, what do you think? If you haven't, are you planning to see it? It's a little bit like Meet the Parents.
About My Father?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the one with Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we had plans to see it. Ann and I had our tickets to go see it, and then something rather significant came up. We couldn't go, and we never got around to going to see it, but we had our tickets and everything. I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, and as far as Sebastian Maniscalco goes, I watched one of his comedy specials, and I was dying laughing. So
I've never seen any of his comedy.
yeah,
though.
he does a lot of the Italian bits. Like,
Well, that would be.
He's
I
very
guess that would
into
be
his,
geared towards me, like Joe Coy is
his
geared
Italian
towards you.
culture. He gets into it. It's just really funny because I have no idea.
Okay, then I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm definitely gonna have to check it out. All right, what's next?
Media Fanatic writes, is it fair to say Avengers 1, The Dark Knight, Logan, Man of Steel, and Spider-Verse are your top 5 comic movies? If so, good list.
I don't know about Across the Spider-Verse yet. It's still too early for me. But I'm not even sure I have Man of Steel in the top 5. It's definitely automatic top 10. And certainly the most underrated comic book film of all time. The top 3 in no particular order are absolutely, again, in no particular order, the first Avengers, The Dark Knight, and Logan. Those to me are the 3 undisputed greatest comic book films of all time. Give me another month or 2 to marinate on Across the Spider-Verse, and maybe that makes it into that conversation. I'm not sure about the number 4 and number 5. I haven't actually done my top 10 comic book films list in a while. I might have to revisit that and put that together again soon. All right, what's next?
King Tannic writes, no Transformers spoiler discussion. I had a great time with the film. I grew up with the Bayverse, and I felt like this fell short of those in terms of action.
Oh, I thought the action was far better. The reason I thought the action was far better was because you could actually see it. Like a lot of the Bay action, and I'm a Michael Bay defender, right? And I like the first Transformers that Michael Bay did. But the problem, and it got worse and worse and worse as you went through, you, number one, had no idea why a certain fight was going on. You couldn't tell who was who in the fights. And a lot of times the action in those Transformers movies, it just looked like a lot of twisting metal. And that's not a reference to the video game. It just looked like a lot of twisted metal. I had no idea what's going on screen a lot of times. It's like, why is he writing Grimlock right now? Don't know, but it's Optimus Prime on Grimlock. What more do you need? And it's Michael Bay's Transformers movies that made me coin the phrase, action without narrative purpose is just visual noise. As we get into Transformers Rise of the Beasts, the way the action was shot, it was always clear. You always understood what was going on. You could see the action. You knew who was punching who. You knew which was the Autobot and which was the non-Autobot, whether it's, they didn't, what do they call Scourge and his guys again? They weren't Decepticons. They were called
Terracons.
Terracons. They called them the Terracons. The Ultrons, or not Ultrons, Unicron's minions.
Yeah.
But I mean, so because of that, I actually thought the action
was it Terracons
in
or
Rise of the
Predacons?
Beast,
I forgot.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
Not Decepticons in this one. But I actually thought the action was maybe the best action we've ever seen in a Transformers movie. Because you could see what was going on.
You know what I really like that they did in the cartoons that I don't think, well, I haven't noticed that they don't do enough of is when they do the transformation into a robot, how they're like already attacking. You know how like mid-transform, they already have their blaster out.
Oh, yeah.
And they're shooting.
Oh, yeah.
I love when they actually include that because no one's going to sit there and wait for something to transform to attack them. So let's do it like that.
Hold on a second. I'm going to transform. And boy, are you in trouble once I do.
And Optimus transformation is a lot faster, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
Because before it took forever. It took like 3 minutes. Like, come on.
Took as long as it actually takes you to do it with the toy. All right, what's next?
All right. I just got this image of like some dad like scolding his Transformers on. Boy, you better hope I don't transform.
You're in trouble if I do.
Oh, no.
All right, John Redcorn writes, over under 35% Blade and Thunderbolts gets delayed again. Well, they will because of the writer's strike. Well, at least Blade.
Well, yeah, Blade is delayed as long as it takes the things. The Thunderbolts, who knows what happens with that. By the way, I got to go back to King Tantic just for a second because I forgot the first part of what he was asking about no Transformers open spoiler discussion. I only generally do open spoiler discussions with movies that open big enough that enough people have seen the movie. And to be honest with you, Little Mermaid which opened to 95 million, was just big enough that I would do an open spoiler discussion of it. Transformers, which did really well compared to Bumblebee, but Transformers made like 30% less than what Little Mermaid did, and made $60 million. And honestly, that's just not enough people have seen it to justify me doing an open spoiler discussion. Now, we will make an exception for the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, you don't think it's gonna make 100 million opening?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not going to make 100 million opening. I will take that bet, Ray. What are you putting up on that
There was no bet right there. I just said you don't
You
think.
seem pretty
It was a
confident.
straight question.
So we will do an open spoiler discussion for that because Ray is going to host that one.
Also, from the last question, don't mention Blade anymore. It hurts my heart every time Blade is mentioned right now. Thank you.
Listen, I'll even take this. You mentioned 35% over under that it gets delayed. To me, the question is 35% that the movie ever gets made. And I'm not trying to be facetious or mean, but I am not 100% confident that this movie even gets made. I have a little bit of doubt at this point. Like this thing has been delayed for years, and it's just one problem after another happening. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, what's next?
From Bader, Master of the Jedi. They should have changed the title from Cap America New World Order to Cap America the Shield, or Cap America Degeneration X, or Cap America the Bloodline.
Of course.
Oh, wrestling fan.
For those who don't know, those are all wrestling references. And I would joke, but it's true. I wasn't just trying to be funny. Whenever I read Captain America New World Order,
should I?
All I heard in my head is the Jimi Hendrix opening music for Hulk Hogan and coming in the ring, down, 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 because of the New World Order.
I have the greatest idea right now. Hold on.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right, what's next?
All right. Well, while he's thinking, King Tannic writes, also good job on your response to the Astrid hate.
Oh, I thought I said the Astro hate. What the Astrid hate.
Not the cheaters. Sorry.
Yeah,
Well, the
I mean,
Astros are
this,
cheaters. Though, yeah.
that is one I do not get, right? Well, John, because for those you don't know, the young girl, Nico.
Her last name is
Her mom is
gee, come on, Chris. Where are you?
Nico something. I'm
Chris
forgetting.
would've known.
Anyway, the young girl who played Joel's daughter in the first episode of Last of Us has been cast to play Astrid in the upcoming live action How to Train Your Dragon.
Not Parker, is it?
Might be Parker. Could very well be Parker. It is Parker, as a matter of fact.
Nico Parker, yeah.
So Nico Parker cast in this, and it is so freaking hilarious. Because first of all, Nico Parker is 75% white. She has a mixed mom, who is actress.
Oh, no.
Why am I forgetting?
No, you only get one of those.
Never mind. Yeah, I forget. But she's in Westworld. And she has a white father. And apparently 75% white is not white enough. Because, and the big people pretending they have a rational objection would say to me, it's not realistic. I'm like, pray tell me how Nico Parker, Thandie Newton, thank your Xavier Phoenix
great,
in live chat.
No doubt about it.
She's going to be awesome in this.
Yeah.
But I'd say, pray tell me how this is not realistic. Well, Vikings, they'd say. Vikings were white. I said, that's fascinating. Let's explore that. Pray tell me about this tribe of Vikings that speak with heavy fucking Scottish accents, that they sound like Scotty from Star Trek when they talk. Tell me about these real Vikings with Scottish speaking dads.
If it's not Scottish, it's crap.
Yeah, and by the way, and please tell me more about these real Vikings that had kids that spoke with straight up flat American accents. Oh, let me go. Tell me more about these real Vikings that fly on fucking dragons. Tell me about these Vikings. It's funny because when you're talking about it's just not realistic. Really? Well, okay, you're fine with the Scottish accents and the children with heavy American accents and flying on dragons. Tell me more. It was one of the most ridiculous things. It's not realistic. Are you okay with the freaking Scotty from Star Trek dad? It's just ridiculous. So yeah, I cannot help but get a chuckle When you hear, well, it's just it's not realistic, you see, because the Vikings. Oh, you mean the Vikings that live on a magical island with flying dragons? Tell me more about these Vikings, please. Anyway, it just makes me giggle.
Well, I'm a Bengals fan.
It just makes me laugh. Anyway, okay, what's next?
Well,
You
look,
didn't get that.
what about
I'm a
the
Viking
13th Warrior?
Bengals fan.
I mean, the 13th Warrior, he joined up with a clan of like Vikings, right? People traveled back then just because there were still roadways and seaways and, people traveled. People get around. The Vikings got around. So there you go.
I mean, and by the way, I read a number of pieces after that actually made a case for justifying both. They said, with the Vikings the real Vikings would travel and pillage and sometimes take people from their cultures. So you could have like some Scottish accent and you could have some mixing of the races and stuff like that with Vikings too. I just thought it was very, very interesting stuff that I read. But again, to me, the bottom line is the realism of the magical Vikings who live on islands with dragons.
I've never witnessed drama before a movie as much as I do now these days. Like the drama usually comes after the movie, let's say if it flops. But there's a lot of drama before the movies now, which is crazy to me because I feel movies are just entertainment. I mean,
No, we have to be angry about it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
Got to be angry. Got to be pissed off.
No, they're funding the movie.
Got to bring their politics into it.
Yeah, they pick whoever's.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
All right. Devin Lita writes, Namor, you too? Also, well, we don't know. Also, my theater in Charlotte blacked out halfway through Transformers Friday. Thoughts, Mr. Adam Aaron? I don't know if Adam Aaron has anything to do with local power grid.
Yeah, I will say this. In AMC's defense and any movie theater's defense, when you actually stop, I've said this before, when you stop and consider all the things that actually happen in one single movie screening, the technical aspects, the timing, the various pieces of machinery and technology that has to go down at a certain time, bringing people in, getting them checked in, selling the tickets, having the proper movies loaded, and all the moving pieces that go into making a movie presentation. Now you take into account that in America alone, there's probably like 35 to 40,000 movie screens. You figure 3 movies every day. That means in America, there's 120,000 screenings of a movie per day. I am shocked how few times I've actually had major technical problems in a presentation. For fuck's sakes, on this little nothing YouTube show, we've had more technical problems with less technology going into than these movie presentations. And again, it sucks when it happens. It totally sucks. Hopefully the movie theater took care of you and maybe gave you some coupons to come back for another screening or something.
Remember the Spanish No Way Home?
Oh my God. Okay.
That was the last one I've ever experienced.
So
They had a wrong, like, dubbed version?
No.
So for those of you who may not know, we did a John Campea Show fan screening of Spider-Man No Way Home. And a bunch of you guys who watched came down for our John Campea Show screening of it. We did at the AMC Burbank 16.
That was a great night.
It was a great day. Got to meet a bunch of the fans.
Yeah, the people there was so awesome.
We went in, sat down, and the movie started, and Espanol. Yeah. And at first I thought, okay, is this on? And then we realized they're showing us the wrong version of the movie.
It wasn't until Tom Holland started speaking that we're like, okay, so it's not like a Spanish reporter or something.
Yeah, we thought, okay, what's going on? Is this supposed to be in Spanish? And then I had to run out and get the manager. I was like, hey, we're the ones in theater, whatever. We're the special screening. Yeah, wrong version of the movie, buddy. And they had to reload it on up.
Not a big deal.
That was funny though. All right, what's next?
All right, King Tannic writes, Flash VFX won't ruin the movie for me, but is it always noticeable, or do you get used to them? I always notice Justice League VFX.
I'll notice it. I mean, I used to work in the visual effects industry, so I'll notice it.
It didn't take me out of it.
It very rarely takes me out of it. Unless there's some clear things that are like, listen, I liked very much, actually, the first theatrical version of Justice League.
I did too.
But, man, when that Henry Cavill first thing came up where they so clearly were trying to CGI over the mustache that he had, that was like, I couldn't look away. I'm like, huh. But I mean, it was a moment in the movie and then it was gone and then they moved forward. And I mean, they fixed it with where they cut it out of the HBO version, which is the better version. The HBO version is the better version. But I like the theatrical version, and even for me, who generally just VFX mistakes don't really bother me at all. But even for me in that one, there was one or two that's like, huh, that's quite the look, isn't it? So there were definitely moments of those. All right, what's next?
Let's see. We've got Duke Kaboom. There's been a lot of hate for the actress who's going to play Nani in Lilo and Stitch for being too white. She's Polynesian. I don't get why people still get mad over it. The actress is Polynesian.
But I've seen almost nothing. I saw like one or two reports, but in reality, I have not had not a single person write into me.
The people who want to make this an issue are the people who are pushing the story, and it's like,
honestly, listen, I literally get thousands of messages a day, and I no hyperbole here, 100% true. I've not had one single person write to me complaining about it.
Yeah.
Not one.
I haven't even seen it. All I saw was somebody, I walked away from the conversation. It was somebody who wanted to push their anti-woke agenda thing, and they're like, well, people on your side. I'm like, first of all, what do you mean people on my side? I'm not getting involved in the politics of anything. And they're like, well, people on your side, they're going after this person and saying they're not white enough, so they're just as bad as us. And I'm like,
I keep hearing
you're coming up with this story to make you look
I keep
better.
hearing about that, but I don't actually see anybody complaining about it.
No.
And I'm sure there's some nut job out there.
And I would say those people are irrational, just as irrational as that idiot who wanted to fight with me.
To the person who wrote the message, if you're excited for a movie, just keep that energy on the excitement. Block out all that noise. Yeah. Enjoy the movie.
But again, it's the report of it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, listen, all I can speak to is my own experience. That's all any of us can do. I can just speak to my own experience. But I am in a little bit of a unique situation that I literally hear people contact me thousands of times a day, whether it's through our comments, our email, social media, whatever. And I have honestly, without any hyperbole, not a single message have I received of somebody being upset by that. Not one. So anyway, that's just me. But there were reports of it, but I haven't seen a single example of it. I'm not saying they don't exist. Okay? I am not saying they don't exist.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I haven't seen one.
I've
never seen a platypus. I'm sure they exist.
Someone brought it up to me, and I looked for it. I was like, oh, is this something going around? Because this seems really irrational too. But I mean, she is Polynesian, so I don't really understand.
If there is anything closer when the movie comes out, everyone will hear it or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
All right, what's next?
Hey, to quote The Fugitive, I don't care.
I don't care. Thank you, Tommy Lee.
From Chef Rigo.
Chef Rigo!
Nothing better than watching open mic on a Monday while curing a hangover from a Sunday brunch. Happy Monday, everyone.
Happy Monday, Chef Rigo. We got to get back over to
Sunday
Shogun,
brunch, man. Tell me he went to El Torito.
You know what?
Supposed to be the best, best Sunday brunch. We should do staff lunch over at Shogun tomorrow. Oh, you say I won't go if we go to staff lunch.
When
have I
Ray
not
wants
gone?
that birthday cake. Or what is it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Birthday cake and the person serving.
All right. What's next?
All right. Fangblaze71. See, I told you he's still with us. Or she. Actually, I don't know who this is. So close to the next MCU show. Can't wait to invade some people's secrets. I really hope it's good. I love Sam Jackson and Nick Fury.
All right. So I know everything that happens in the show. Every day I'm so tempted. Actually, you know what? A lot of days Ray and Jonathan are trying to.
Yeah, I walk out whenever they have their little.
I mean, I don't know anything about it, so I don't want to.
Oh God, you know how much I want to just fuck Disney and just do an open spoiler discussion before the show
Did you
comes
snort
out.
Viagra? That came off really horny.
I wanted to, and every once in a while I'll bring it up to Ray and John's like, you know what? I'm so tempted just to do an open spoiler discussion of the show before it even comes out. And they're the ones who have to talk me off the ledge. I just want to stick it to fucking Disney so bad.
Come on.
But all right, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do it.
Just have that joy in knowing that you know something not a lot of people know.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm going to say this. I've seen a little bit of it. And what I've seen, I really like. And I've read it. And I like the script. The script's good. And the footage I've seen is good. Now, whether that means the entire series will be good, who knows? I've read really good scripts that turned into not good movies and not good TV shows, but I feel very good about Secret Invasion, actually. I think I think we're going to like it a lot. I mean, again, from what I've seen, I've liked the footage I've seen. I love the script, so we'll see. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Logan Hoyne who writes, I never understood why some people are mad even if there is an agenda for more diversification in film. To me, an agenda for representation isn't bad. It's like, it's an agenda, but it's positive.
Here's the problem, and this is where people get it mixed up. People are confusing things here. The agenda is the agenda that's been around for 100 years. There has been, and the studios are finally starting to admit, the studios are admitting it, there has been an agenda of exclusion for over 100 years in Hollywood. Even just recently, like Ike Perlmutter, who was Kevin Feige's boss at Marvel, fought to keep Black Panther or Captain Marvel from ever getting made because he believed Marvel shouldn't be making movies with black heroes or women. But that's been the agenda of Hollywood for 100 years.
So they're afraid it won't make money.
What they're seeing today is people dismantling the agenda.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And it's just saying enough is enough, and they're stopping the agenda because the agenda has, you got to just go through Hollywood history. It's been there for 100 years, and they're just now starting to get rid of it. And so them taking down the agenda of exclusion is making people think, well, people have an agenda of inclusion. No, it's just that they're stopping the agenda that's been around for 100 years. All right, what's next?
We've got Angel Silva who writes, because of Transformers, the only way for me to watch Spider-Verse in Dolby Cinema was 40 miles from my local AMC. So guess what I did this weekend?
I salute you, sir. Watch, I once drove 2,000 miles so I could watch the new Star Wars movie, Star Wars The Phantom Menace, on my favorite movie screen that was across the country. I salute that you did that.
Wait, hold that. Read the next message. He said, I watched Transformers Rise of the Beast.
What are you talking about?
Because he said, never mind.
Yeah, because of Transformers, the only way. Yeah.
No. My punchline was he didn't drive. He just ended up watching Transformers. Never mind. Forget it. It was just, phew.
That's going right over my head. I don't even know what we're talking about.
He did drive 40 miles. Because of Transformers, he had to drive 40 miles to see
but I'm saying the punchline is he didn't. He said, well, I did what, because he left it at a cliffhanger.
He did.
Never mind. Forget it.
Listen, I drive 60 miles for work.
And that will do it, guys.
For today's installment. All right, let's get through the last few ones here.
What the hell
What's
did Ray
next?
say? All right. CJ Rebirth writes, looking forward to a lot.
To Elemental?
A lot to Elemental, the up short. Oh, and the up short.
Oh, that's right. There's like a Carl. I thought I heard there's like a Carl
cool.
From Up short before the movie. I forgot about that.
Cool.
I'll tell you what. Again, I don't know how good Elemental's going to end up being, but I liked the first 15 minutes they showed us at CinemaCon. I'll always get excited for Pixar, even if the Lightyear movie ended up being a bit disappointing. But I'm excited to see it. But yeah, the little short in front of it, I forgot about that.
The rating is encouraging going up.
The numbers going up is encouraging. Yeah, I like that. All right, what's next?
All right, Jay Bling writes, I think it was said that the Hobbs script was already written when they announced the movie. There's just no director yet.
Yeah, I believe that's the case. Like, especially since Vin Diesel apparently just announced that Fast X Part 2 is going to come out in April of 2025. And they're saying the Hobbs movie is going to take place in between Fast X and Fast X Part 2. Well, then they had to have had a script already. They already had to have been working on this movie for a while. So I wouldn't doubt at all that there's already a script. I also wouldn't doubt if there was a director involved at this point too, or maybe they're deep in the game of trying to select a director. Because my guess is if this movie needs to come out before Fast X Part 2, it's going to need to go into production probably before October. So they're going to have to get moving on it pretty damn fast. That's why I'm going to guess they might even have a director already. All right, what's next?
We've got My Comic Planet who writes, bad news, John. One of the voters of the Golden Globes posted that the 300 members of the body will remain. The letter says it's transitioned from a member-led organization to a commercial enterprise.
Well, first of all, there are not 300 members of the Hollywood Foreign Press. All right. There are, I believe, 80 members of the Hollywood Foreign Press. However, in response to a lot of the criticism about the inherent flaw of the voting system of the Golden Globes, this year, they recruited in like 100 or 220 additional voters who are, again, foreign press coverage people, who are not full members of the Hollywood Foreign Press, but they were going to include 220 other voters. Now, I understood that for this upcoming Golden Globes that are going to be in January, that will be run by the Dick Clark Company, that they were still going to have the Hollywood Foreign Press voters vote on that one. But since there's not going to be any such thing as the Hollywood Foreign Press after that, I'm not sure if that means that these same people are going to vote. So they're still going to, even though there is no Hollywood Foreign Press, there's going to, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it, but we'll see. We'll see. Again, listen, but I will say this. Even the Hollywood Foreign Press members voting in the awards show is better than just the Dick Clark executive saying, oh, we're just going to pick the best movies of the year. I mean, that's the big question I had. You got to have, who's giving out the awards? See, the Oscars mean something, not because the word Oscar is on it, but because the voting body of the Oscars is 8,000 actors, directors, writers, producers, cinematographers, film professionals who are voting en masse, 8,000, 9,000 strong, and award. That's what gives it meaning. So the Dick Clark takes over. Okay, that's great, but who's giving out the award? At least, even though the Hollywood Foreign Press was pathetic, at least there was something. So I just want to know moving forward after this January, what's the voting body going to be? And what is the criteria going to be for the people they put in place as voters? That's the thing I'm really going to be interested to see as they move forward. All right, what's next?
All right, and finally we come to Leo Styles 81 with a $50 super chat.
Oh, just to be
Thank
supportive.
you.
My goodness, Leo, thank you so much for supporting us. And that didn't even ask a question, just sent a super chat badge to be supportive.
Leo got my joke. I know you did.
Leo got my joke.
For real.
That was a tip just to say thank you to Ray for the joke that I still don't get.
All right.
All right, guys, and with that down, that'll do it for today's installment of John Campea's Open Mic. Thank you so much for being here and making this little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those tip questions and the super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Guys, don't forget to come back and join us tomorrow. We've already got a couple of stories we're going to be making some news videos on tomorrow. Of course, the next episode of the John Campea Show podcast. And by the way, guys, we have a newsletter that we send out to your inbox every morning that tells you announcements for the day, gives you an insight into which topics we're going to be covering that day. I do a little blog blurb every day. Make sure you look in the description and you're going to see a link to our newsletter. Go and subscribe to it today. It's totally free, gets delivered to your inbox every morning. So for Ray Ora, who can watch things because they transform. For Jonathan Voico, my name's John Campea, who things just go right over my head. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.